Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another game-changing episode with VictoriBelle and Nate the Effing Great. You know, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm at the point right now where I can't get enough of hearing that music, especially seeing Roman Reigns back in WWE. But obviously, this is not the wrestling-related podcast. This is the game-changing podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition here. I'm Nate the Effing Great, and I'm being joined here by the April O'Neil to my Michelangelo, the one and only Miss VictoriBelle, as long as technology provides... Okay, there we go. We're good. Maybe.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good. Having a good morning.
Well, I would definitely hope so. I mean, it's nearing the end of the week, so hopefully things are just, fine and dandy, happy, hunky-dory.
Yes, exactly. End of the week, going to see Captain Marvel tonight. I'm excited.
Yeah, guys, we're going to be talking a bit about Captain Marvel, a little bit of the build-up going into it. It premieres tonight, and for some of us, they'll be lucky to see it tonight. I will unfortunately not be able to see it until Saturday night, but I'm also going with a group of friends on Tuesday night because, well, that's kind of what we did last year for Infinity War. It was awesome. Now it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I want to see it on Tuesday, man. I'm going to do it. But at the same time, I want to see it earlier. So it's like, all right, I'll go see it on Saturday. At least I know the dogs will be taken care of, so don't have to worry too much about that. But for those of you that are going to enjoy Captain Marvel tonight, definitely enjoy it. But before we get into that, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what we normally do. We're actually going to be going through some pop culture news because we thought, why not? We've kind of done just about everything else that there is to do, so might as well cover some very interesting news stories that we've happened upon over the last week. And for I already went through my list, and I'm already very excited to talk about this. So definitely, guys, you're in for a pretty impactful and very eventful show coming your way. So first thing I wanted to discuss was the fact that this actually came from one of the articles I was reading. I'm going to actually try and get the link to it really quick. Because it basically talks about how Marvel Comics is ending. Now, I'm not saying Marvel Comics, the company, is ending, but this is coming from CosmicBook.news saying that Disney's shutting down Marvel Comics. Now, what I think when they say that is that the comic division is probably what's going to be going down. I can understand why this is probably happening because not very many people are going out to buy comics anymore. They're not exactly out, buying the paper copies. They can always get it on their Kindles, on their iPads and stuff like that. But I don't really see it being one of those situations where it's like, is the comic genre going to die? No, I definitely do not see that. As long as we have movies like, Captain Marvel, Shazam, Batman, Spider-Man, you name it, there's always going to be comics going around. But I think, comic books might be the one thing that's dying for that. And that's what I'm really getting from this article here is that, comic book genre, the era of comic books seemingly is going to be, done. Not too many people are asking for comic books, but I mean, there are still some people that really like the paper copies because it brings out that kind of nostalgia deal to it. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, VictoriBelle?
I think that's a huge mistake if that's true. I also don't believe it's true because that's like saying, oh, books are done now. Like, what? Like, no, that's not a thing. And as somebody who works for a school who produces people who want to do that for a living, I will never think that that's going to happen. Like, I think that's definitely a job that is necessary. I think that it's going more digital. I think that it's going more graphic novel versus tiny little books, but I do not think that comics will ever die. I read comics. I read manga, which is also a form of comics. It's great online, too. Like, that's kind of the new wave, is to go digital so that you have it on your phone and stuff, because people just don't like to carry around that much stuff. So I don't see Disney actually doing that. I think that might have been maybe a rumor, or maybe it's just to drive up, like, talk about comics, which is good. But no, comics definitely have a mainstream and a following, and people still to this day go to comic book stores. I mean, Google it. Like, there's a comic book store in every town, and they're there for a reason. If they weren't there, I would believe it. I'd be like, yeah, all the comic book stores are closing down. They're not. They're still there. They sell other things too, but they get most of their business from comics. And there's so many artists out there still working for comics. So, yeah, if Marvel wants to shut down, it's just giving other people a good opportunity to step up.
Yeah, I could definitely see that from a business standpoint. You know, one comic book store goes down, another one's going to be more popular. But I can also see like some of the smaller chains kind of closing down too, and that would give more business to the bigger ones that, you know, can actually make revenue on comics. You know, a lot of the bigger cities probably get more revenue with the comic book sales. But no, I definitely do agree. I think we both agree on that, is that comics are definitely not going to be dying. We still have plenty of superheroes that we still want to see going back to back against each other. I mean, they've probably done like every single comic book, you know, scenario that you could think of. But there's still so much untapped potential when it comes down to it. I think I'm still looking forward. I'm wondering if there is a DC versus Marvel comic. I would like to read that. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, there is, but it wasn't actually, like, by the author. Like, it's not by, like, the main guys of Marvel and the main guys of DC. Like, DC and Marvel don't recognize it as a comic book because obviously they're the biggest competitors. They're not going to join and get money from this. But a man who worked for both, I think I talked about it in our section about what we want to see out of the Justice League. There was a Justice League versus the Avengers type of comic.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe that'll explode a little bit more, especially with this news, but who knows at this point. So I think that wraps up that topic. So VictoriBelle, what else do you have for us? What did you dig up this past week?
I think I wouldn't mind just talking a little bit about the new trailer that came out for the Dark Phoenix. I think it's interesting that the Dark Phoenix is still coming out. There's just so much questions about this like saga of the X-Men. Like, I thought Marvel owns them now, and all of a sudden this movie's still coming out. It was canceled, then it's coming out, and now it's coming out. Now it has a cool new trailer, but I don't know. Have you seen the new trailer for X-Men Dark Phoenix?
You know, I have, but I think that with all the movies and everything that's been going on, it's kind of been like in the back of my mind when it comes down to it. So I guess it hasn't really stood out to me as much. But then again, I haven't really gotten a chance to appreciate, you know, the X-Men movies. And I know it's blasphemous. How can I call myself a Marvel person if I haven't watched an X-Men deal? You have to understand that there's a lot of things that, you know, kind of interest me. And the X-Men didn't really, you know, pique my interest until Deadpool came out. So I'm definitely going to try and give the X-Men movies a bit of a chance. I have seen a lot of, you know, the scenes and a lot of the stuff that comes from these Dark Phoenix trailers. And I know the first one, we kind of talked about it, and you were just kind of like, you know, now this next one coming out, it seems like you're a little more warmed up to the idea of this movie.
No.
No?
No, I wanted to talk about it. So if you haven't seen it, then that's why I was like, oh, okay, this is part of one of my pop cultures. It dropped last week. We haven't talked about it yet. Or it dropped this week, early this week. It just shows, it looks like it's a lot like, okay, what X-Men characters do people like still? They still like Mystique, so let's just make it about Mystique and Dark Phoenix's relationship. I'm like, what the F is this? Like, One, Mystique is not a fucking good guy. Sorry, I said the F word. She's not a good guy. I don't know why she's still, like, all because Jennifer Lawrence plays her, it doesn't mean, like, oh, like, she's a good person and blah, blah, blah. Like, no! Like, this is an evil character in X-Men. She is evil. Let her be evil. Like, I want her evil. That's what I liked her as. And so they literally, like, the trailer just shows her, like, being like, you're okay, Jean. I love you, Jean. We're family. We're family together. And you're like, do they have this, like, does anyone know? Like, I'm, like, looking around, like, does anyone know if they have a relationship? Like, are they friends? No? Yeah, I know. I haven't seen it either, so I don't know why this would suddenly persuade Jean Grey, the level 5 most powerful mutant in the world, to be like, I think I'm gonna not go crazy on you. Like, no! And of course she, like, blasts her away, but if she doesn't die, I bet she'll be fine. She'll be back to being her good old self. But it's just, like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know where they're going. I don't know what storyline they're following. And not making it about, like, kind of like Jean Grey's love story with Scott, Cyclops. Which, again, nobody likes Cyclops, but I think we already talked about that, and I agree, who likes him. But the reason I don't mind him being a part of stories are because, like, Jean Grey and him have this, like, love story. Like, she's so powerful, and he's so noble. That's it about him. And it just, they have no reason to do this movie. I was happy when they canceled it. It doesn't look like it's going to be good. Some people are kind of like, whoa. Like, it looks like they're going to do a lot of cool, like, mutant things, which they haven't done. So, and, like, she's going to fight everybody. It looks like, you know, like, Magneto and Professor X, their teams are coming together, which that's what we like about the Dark Phoenix Chronicles, too, is that she basically makes everybody join forces, and it's a big battle. So, it looks like we'll get the big battle, but I don't know if any other X-Men fans are out there. Like, X-Men was, like, my number one series that I loved, and I just don't know. Like, I don't see how I can care about any of these characters, including Jean Grey. Like, whatever her name is, girl from Game of Thrones, like, she's not my Jean Grey. She's not, though. Like, all I see is her crying constantly. She's just always crying, and I'm like, I don't know if I remember Jean, like, legit, like, she was crying a little bit because, like, her powers are overtaking her mind, but she just seems so weak, and I don't like that. I don't like when a character that is supposed to be, like, the most powerful mutant ever, and a female, is always crying. Like, stop.
You know, it's kind of weird. I think I have a movie franchise that might have that exact same comparison with Mystique. Is that it's almost like the Pirates of the Caribbean series, where, you know, at first we had, you know, Captain Barbossa. He was supposed to be the villain. He was the bad guy. He was kind of a badass. He kind of looked awesome. And then they brought him back, and it's like, okay, this ought to be interesting. I mean, is he going to be bad? No, he's a good guy. Why? This kind of doesn't make too much sense. And then as soon as, you know, the movies come out more and more, it's just kind of like, man, I really do not care about this. And in the recent one, they add the fact that, oh, he's got a secret daughter that he didn't meet until now. It's like, what's with it? So it kind of feels like that same kind of ordeal with, oh, damn it. I'll tell you guys in a minute why I just groaned. But getting back to, I'll let you guys know in a minute. But the thing about that is that it does kind of take away from the character that, you know, you're used to. Like, of course, I think a lot of people preferred him as, you know, just the evil villain, and a lot of people liked Mystique as the villain. Now that they've gone to this point where it's just like, well, they soften him up so much that it's like you just don't care what they do. It's like, hey,
yeah, well, it's just not the character anymore. Like, you changed the whole baseline of the character. You can't do that.
It sucks. It really does. Because it does take away from, you know, the character that you know. And it's like, great, now I have to deal with this incarnation of the character. However can I get this better? Oh, look, a comic book that has the exact way that I want it to. life is all good now, and I'm going to throw away this movie. And I'll tell you also this. My next story actually does kind of almost make that a bit of a concern about how well they're doing with Dark Phoenix. But the reason why I groaned was that I just got a notification from the WWE deal. They just made the confirmation. I know it's not a wrestling deal, but still one of those things where I'm just like, man, I was hoping this wasn't true. WrestleMania next year is going to be held in Tampa, Florida. And I was really hoping it was going to be in Minneapolis. But nope, Midwest gets screwed again, and not just by the snow. Just irritating.
Nobody wants to come here.
Yeah, this is one of those times where it's like, man, if ever there was a time...
Everybody hates us.
if ever there was a time that, we could have had a good reputation to be like, yeah, we could bring the fun, we could bring the energy. And it's like, no, you guys bring the snow.
Yeah. Well, apparently, I think in 2020, the NBA All-Star Game is going to be in Chicago.
Oh, that's cool. I don't really care I don't care about basketball, but for those that are NBA players, by all means, go for it. That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big event that they're like, let's throw this in Chicago, and I'm almost for sure it happens in February. So that's going to suck.
Well,
if we know anything about Chicago right now, it's cold.
And very windy for some reason. I don't know why you're called the Windy City, but...
Right. What's the weather out there? It's cold.
How about today? Very windy. We
Still
love it here.
I do think we're in double figures, though. 2 days ago, it was like 4 and 9, and I was like, come on now. I can't 4 and 9.
I can't 49 this.
I can't do that. I can't function in that. And then today, I think it's 20 degrees.
That's a plus.
So, steadily climbing. Spring is in, a week and a half to 2 weeks.
That's the one thing that I found hilarious, is that somebody had a spring countdown deal. I'm just sort of like, maybe everywhere else in the nation, but not us. We're still in the winter section right now.
Yeah. This is obnoxious. I guess Texas and everybody got to feel it too, so thanks, Texas. Take our snow. We don't want it anymore.
Shout out to all the people in Texas. We love you so much, we want to give you some snow. I'm sure some of your kids would love that. So going into the next story that I had, that kind of ties into, the worries with Dark Phoenix and, everything that's going on with the characters, is that there's an article that I had pulled up here, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up again. Basically talking about how Disney might actually go into a direction, if they finalize this whole thing between them and Fox, of doing a full-fledged X-Men reboot. And this was coming from... this was actually kind of funny. This is coming from a site called WeGotThisCovered.com, and it's funny. It's one of those things where I just thought to myself, okay, with a name like that, that's absolutely amazing. But basically, they're talking about how, from their sources, that they want to kind of recast all the stars in the X-Men universe, with the exception of one person in particular, that being Mr. Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool himself, because, it's Deadpool, and it's Ryan Reynolds. What more do you need to say? But they're kind of looking for a lot of the characters to be, known actors in their mid to late 20s and early 30s, but also they want to change up, Xavier and Magneto with people that are more in the 35 to 55 age group. So they're trying to keep, it looks like they're trying to keep it at least a bit more accurate to what the comic books have, but I think it's one of those things where some people are kind of like, man, we're just getting into this deal, and they're already saying we're getting a reboot. I think that the whole reboot thing was going to happen no matter what, because with a lot of the X-Men movies, some have not really been that very sought after. But also, with especially, losing a huge player like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, you had to know that was just going to set up for the reboot. And I'm sure people are just thinking, who's going to play Wolverine now? Who's going to be the man now? Well, it's kind of those things where it's like, well, if we are going to just do Wolverine, might as well just change up everybody. And there's even talks about having an X-Men versus Avengers movie down the line, a bit of a crossover between the two of them, which I'd be cool with. I think that would be interesting. But obviously, they have to hope and pray that this quote-unquote reboot, works. Because there are some times where, hey, reboots work. But then there's other times where it's like, wow, that was worse than the first time that they did this. Case in point, Fantastic Four. Some people are just kind of like, it's okay, we're good. Hey, we got Silver Surfer. Okay, this is great. We're rebooting it. Oh, man, I guess it can't get any worse than the Fantastic Four come out. It's like, wow, I stand corrected. That was even worse.
I think that honestly was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
I'm not even kidding. I was just marking off things that were wrong with it. I was like, and I don't even mean comic books wrong. I mean just editing. They had shots that were she'll have headphones in her ears, and then the next shot she didn't, and then the next shot she did.
God.
And you're who edited this? And Michael B. Jordan was in it, and they had he had makeup to cover up some blemishes, and it didn't match his face. I could tell. I was they used a lighter skin tone on his face, and you can tell that's really bad.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, so it was the worst movie ever. It was one of those that I almost got up and left. I was I can't even watch this. But then I wanted to stay to mark down more things.
So it seems like I'm going to have another movie to put on my list of bad movies I should critique and watch. Great.
Dude,
so
that one is really bad.
Even worse than Batman and Robin?
I don't even remember the ending because I don't think I watched it. I think I was just it's over.
Are you saying that there's a movie out there that's worse than Batman and Robin? Because that puts up a pretty strong front.
Yeah, Batman and Robin, it's at least entertaining. Batman and Robin can entertain you. This Fantastic Four thing was not entertaining. It was more this is awful. Who allowed this?
It's like if this was a drinking game, our kidneys would be literally dead, basically, by the time it's over.
Yes, it was bad. But to stay on kind of your wavelength, I have another story that kind of goes with that. I was watching a bunch of the Ryan Reynolds talks, and he's now promoting, Detective Pikachu.
Well, yeah.
Which that new trailer dropped too last Thursday? Yeah, I think it was last Thursday. The new Detective Pikachu trailer came out, which this will go with another one of your stories. We'll all connect. Tried to do that. I tried to do this and gave me your stories. I'm like, okay, let me what can I build around? But yeah, so the new Detective Pikachu trailer drops, and there's an interview with Ryan Reynolds just talking about his roles.
Oh my gosh!
And
yes.
Did you see this?
Yes.
Because I posted it, and I was like, I gotta talk about this. He basically says yeah, so you know how I just obviously dissolve into all my roles. You can't even tell it's me when I play all my roles, and I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, so I was going to pick up my girls from school when I got the call saying I got the role of Detective Pikachu, and so I never got there. I never picked them up because Pikachu, this little pink or this little yellow mouse, doesn't have kids. Not gonna get them. And I'm like, oh my gosh! And then it goes to his wife, Blake Lively, and she's like, yeah, he never got our girls that day. And then he's like, yeah, Pikachu doesn't have kids, so I don't have kids anymore. I've tried to lose 185 pounds, but my doctor didn't allow it, which he probably weighs about 185 pounds.
Probably.
Then he's like, yeah, so it's just really hard. I'm just really trying to, really embrace this role and really become Pikachu. And Blake Lively's like, he hasn't stood up in 3 weeks. He's just crawling on the floor because Pikachu's not tall. And I'm like, this is just hilarious. And obviously he's doing a Deadpool move in this Detective Pikachu. He breaks the fourth wall and he does all this fun stuff. So I'm excited for this movie. The new trailer showed a bunch of new Pokemon, a bunch of new adventure coming. It also shows that Pikachu's just going to be like Ryan Reynolds. So I think that was the main goal of him doing this video. Like, he's literally just like Ryan Reynolds. He's like, whoa, watch out, guys. Watch out. Oh, like taunting people. And then getting his butt whooped, it looks like.
It's so funny.
But a main thing that comes out of this is we do get to see Mewtwo. The legendary Mewtwo does pop up on Poke Floats. And he, like, breaks the float and, like, pops up, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's Mewtwo! So, I don't know any of the story behind Detective Pikachu, but I know people are wigging out about Mewtwo being a part of it. And then just to tie in your last thing, Ryan Reynolds also talked about his role of Deadpool in one of these interviews, and just like saying that he's been trying to talk to Hugh Jackman because they've had this like feud now, like a funny back and forth.
Oh god!
And he's like, I wonder how much money it'll take for him to put the claws back on. I bet you we can raise it. so like he's still trying to taunt Hugh Jackman to coming back, but in all honesty, I agree with whoever wrote the article that you were talking about. They need to cast new people.
Yeah, reboots are always hard to do, but if you get the right person and you see them in that role, then that's one of those things that makes it a great movie. Problem is, I think there's just some people that are just like, well, we're looking for people that are known actors, that can look the part, but they don't have to necessarily act like the part. And I'm hoping that's...
I know that Ryan Reynolds just likes Hugh Jackman. Like, he does. Like, they're, like, really good friends. That's why he wants him to play it. He's like, I want to do a movie with this guy. But Hugh Jackman is totally done. He's even like, I'm way too old for this. Like, let's not do this.
Well, I mean, even to the point where, you know, Hugh Jackman was just comfortable letting Ryan Reynolds dressed as Deadpool just go into his hotel room, sit on his bed, and just sing random songs of like, the sun will come out tomorrow, and then who let the dogs out? Who let them out? Who let them out? Who let them out in the first place? That's probably my favorite. But
I don't think he let him in his hotel room.
Okay, that is true.
Someone else let him in his hotel room.
Or he's just that good and he just snuck right in. Who knows at this point? It's Ryan Reynolds.
Someone let him in, but it was probably not Hugh Jackman.
But to also tie in with your comments about the trailer, yeah, I definitely saw it. Every single time I've laughed at it. Just having this deal where, you know, it's kind of the deal where the husband is just being this cocky and arrogant deal, and the wife is just kind of one of those people who's just like, he needs to get in reality. I'm kind of concerned about him right now.
Right.
just even her just saying the line of like, he has the same voice. Doesn't even change.
Yeah, he doesn't even change his voice. That was so funny. Like, he didn't even try.
it's just one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, these two are perfect for each other. And just that, and even that final line of where Ryan Reynolds is just saying like, I just want my kids to go to this movie, look up and say like, yeah, that's my dad, and I'm proud of that. And she just laughs, says, yeah, no, we're not seeing this movie. It's like, yes, ouch! Come on, it's Detective Pikachu. Come on, this actually looks pretty good.
It looks really good, doesn't it? And I'm like, it like involves everything. Like, it gives you the Pokemon that all the old millennials like, because that's what we grew up on. Mm-hmm. Gives us humor, and we're like, okay, he's freaking hilarious, and the repertoire between the kid and Pikachu is great. And then it gives the kids nowadays who are Pokemon obsessed again. Dude, Pokemon is epic. I don't know any other franchise in my mind right now that is dominating the world so well. Like, Pokemon dominates the world. I thought they were dead, you know. What? They like died, I thought, almost like 10 years ago, and now they're like, boom, we're back.
Right.
And it was perfect. They're so smart how they did this. This is crazy to me.
Well, and I think to kind of, you know, piggyback on your comments when we were talking about Mewtwo being involved in this, which is honestly one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
This is going to be a game changer. Haha, take a shot, whoever's playing that game. but yeah, basically, with the original 150 Pokemon, Mewtwo was one of those people that, one of those Pokemon that everybody wanted to catch, everybody wanted to own, everybody wanted to utilize, because he looked absolutely awesome. Okay, 151, because they did add Mew as a final one, but...
You was one.
I'm a nerd. What do you expect? I was a part of that generation.
Yeah. We all went to see Pokemon the movie 1. Like, that's...
Oh my gosh. That's...
Who did not go see that movie? And if you're out there and you're our age, you're in your mid to late 20s and you didn't go see that movie, shame. And you better have got the little Mew card at the movie theater.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. They incorporated that in the second movie too, which I thought was actually pretty awesome.
The Lugia movie?
Yeah.
Which I know. Yeah. Of course I know that movie.
I think by far that's probably my favorite Pokemon movie. If we're going to just...
I love birds, so I was like, legendary birds movie.
It's like, Firebird, Thunderbird, Icebird. What's this thing? Holy crap.
Windbird! Whoa!
I want Windbird. I want to capture him and put him in my bucket. Just...
I want the little one in my bucket. Oh, where did we go?
Basically talking about Detective Pikachu, like you said, we're incorporating a lot of these, great new Pokemon that look really realistic. The CGI looks great. You got a great actor in Ryan Reynolds playing, Pikachu, which a lot of people, I'm sure there's at least one person who's just like, Pikachu never talked. And it's like, that is not true. In the last Pokemon movie, they did actually have Pikachu talk, which was weird. But at the same time, kind of a sweet moment. Anyway.
Yeah, I think that Detective Pikachu talks. It's based off of a video game, so I've never played it, obviously.
Right, yeah.
But I do think he talks. Like, I think they literally are like I don't think this is Ash's Pikachu. I think this is another Pikachu. So most people who follow Pokemon, I do believe, get it. I don't know, but I'm like a Pokemon fan, but I'm not like, I don't do all the games and stuff, but I'm down, I support it, and my only hope is that, like, kids don't get too afraid. Like, some of the Pokemon are, like, legit real. Like they're at the bar, and they're like Jigglypuff is a karaoke singer at a bar and does not look very cute. She's like, shut up! Like, oh my god. She looks pissed.
well, I look and I see the microphone. I just think to myself back to the animated series where she had that deal where where she would just sing and she'd have the marker ready just in case people fell asleep on her. It was just...
And write profanity on people's faces.
Oh my gosh, if that gets incorporated in this movie, I will literally say this just encapsulates everything Pokemon from our generation.
They should. They should make her write profanity on people's faces, because that's just great. But, like, literally all the Pokemon kind of, like, remind me of, like, what we're turning into, like, grumpy old people. like Charizard's like, I'm so messed up, and I'm gonna kill you. I'm like, all these Pokemon aren't the little, like, ooh, I'm so cute, kawaii. They're, like, not. They're not. They do not look like that.
It definitely has a darker feel to it. Yeah, definitely. Oh, man. Looking forward to that. That's going to be coming out this year, I believe, Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, I think in May. Sorry I didn't grab that. I'll have that for you. You could do your...
tie-in?
Yeah.
So the tie-in that I had with this and that, somehow we're just really doing a great job of tying everything together. This one actually comes from Japan because they are deciding, hey, we did such a great job with these Pokemon movies. Let's go at them again. So they're basically going to be doing a reanimated CGI version of the very first Pokemon movie until Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. So this is going to be one of those movies that I've seen the trailer for, and it's like, okay, so it's basically going to be the same movie, but oh snap, this actually is getting very interesting. And I will also say this, Rotten Tomatoes, you guys gave that the original Pokemon movie a low score. I say shame. Shame on you.
Yeah, shame. How dare you?
That was part of our childhood, damn it. But yeah, I see this trailer for it, and I'm literally just like, oh my gosh, this actually looks really good. Now the question is, are they going to keep it, like every single thing the same? Or are they going to do a little bit more with this? I'm hoping that it's the second option, because there's still a part of us that would like to know, hey, how did these scientists, get the, DNA from Mew? How did they, collect this stuff? How did they really create? How do they know how to create Mewtwo into this, quote unquote perfect Pokemon? How did they, go into doing this? Because it's still one of those things where, first one is good, but there's still probably some plot holes that people are just like, where does this connect? Where does this connect? I'm hoping and believe that with Japan, they know how to do this, is that they're probably going to fill a lot of those holes up and be like, okay, this ties into this ties into this, and it's like, oh, okay, that actually makes more sense. But for right now, yes, America, it's going to be released in Japan for a while. It may come to America, but you never know. Right now, it's just going to be exclusively in Japan, but it is going to be coming out, I believe, this year, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check my article on this. Nope, that's for my other story. July 7th, it'll be coming out for you guys in Japan. So,
wow.
It's going to be, May 10th. May 10th is the Detective Pikachu movie, so. I know that's a little bit off topic, but at the same time, we're talking about Pokemon, so it makes sense.
Wait, what'd you say? Sorry, I was reading something.
I could tell you were kind of zoned out or just...
Sorry, I was reading for what I'm going to say next. But okay. Sorry, go.
I said May 10th is when Detective Pikachu comes out.
Yes, yeah. Okay, I could have told you that. I looked it up already. That's my bad. I wanted to wait until you were done.
Yeah, but we're all good now. All right, so let's go into one more story, and then we'll go into our commercial break. And, yeah. So, last story, VictoriBelle. What you got for us?
Last story for right now. I will go with my Idris Elba story. So, we've already heard that Will Smith is not that excited about Suicide Squad 2.
I know where this is going.
Yes, and so it looks like he will not return for the sequel. And I know everybody was like, what? Like, he was the best part. But it looks like that James Gunn is looking to go with Idris Elba, which we all know he's worked with in the past, just via Marvel. So it looks like Idris Elba is stepping into the role of Deadshot, and it looks like Gunn and him are already in the talks, and the studio is already beginning to move forward with this. So I think that's super cool that Idris Elba is now also being pulled to the DC Comics world, and I love Idris Elba. I think a lot of people really respect all of the characters he does and how just big and bad A he is. So it just looks like a win in my eyes versus Will Smith, who we've talked about in the past. I don't know if Will Smith was actually Deadshot to me. And I could have sworn I already deleted, but didn't one of us pick Idris Elba? Did I pick him?
I'm pretty sure you were the one that picked it, because I remember reading that article, and I thought to myself, she called it. I think she called it. So that's when I tagged you, and I said, didn't you pick him for this role?
I think I did. I don't fully remember, but I'm I almost feel like I called this, so I'm excited about this.
I do agree. I think that's a really good pick that you mentioned already on our podcast, but also the fact that they are going through with that. Idris Elba definitely is one of those actors who does a really good job, no matter what it is. It could be a major role, and it could even be a minor role. He's got one of those presence where he does it so well that you kind of look at the movies that he's in. He's just oh, this movie was great, but Idris Elba, man, come on, he's amazing. I mean, I think that he was probably the best part of probably any of those Thor movies, to be honest. It's
the beginning ones, yeah, for sure. The third one was a good movie.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, the beginning ones, he was probably one of the best parts.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Thor movies didn't really give us too much to live up to, especially Dark World, because let's face it was garbage. Oh boy, oh man, just got something in my throat there. Yeah, honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing who else they announce for these next few roles, because that just leaves Killer Croc, Harley Quinn. They already got a Joker movie planned out, so I think they're going to have that Joker play that. El Diablo, and Katana and Captain Boomerang, right?
Yeah.
Or it all depends on which Suicide Squad they go with, because I don't know if it could be the original Suicide Squad that they went with, but they could go in a different direction with like a different group. Who knows at this point?
Yeah, I honestly don't know either exactly what characters they're bringing back, but I mean, it's getting called Suicide Squad 2, so I almost feel like they have to stick with what they went with initially.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
But I don't feel it's still too new to even talk about. It's just great that we know a new cast member. We just don't know much else about it.
No, I definitely do agree with that. All right, guys, so we're going to take a little short commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to give you guys a little lowdown about some other things that have been going on over the last few weeks. Stay tuned.
Check out the guys over at Eclectic Media Project. They bring you podcasts such as Musically Challenged. Whose podcast is it anyway? Want to hear something interesting? And their newest podcast, Page 3.14 News. Check them out on Podbean and iTunes at Eclectic Media Project. On their website at www.eclecticmediaproject.com. Check them out as they are the home with a little something for almost everyone.
Hey guys, this is Nate the Effing Great. Hey, have you ever wanted to be a champion but can't seem to really find the money and the time to get a championship belt? Well, you know who's a really good friend of mine? AJ from ajsbelts.com. These guys have a large assortment of championship belts, from classic belts to the modern day belts to championship belts you would not even believe. And guys, like I said, they work with you very well. With an awesome layaway program, there is no way that you can beat these guys' prices as well as these guys' deals, especially when you can give them a little bit of money every now and then until you can get that championship gold. Coming from a guy who's a champion and a game changer, I'm Nate the Effing Great. I'm representing ajsbelts.com, proud friends of the Game Changer Podcast.
Woo, woo, woo. You know it.
Oh, radio, tell me everything you know. I will believe your every word, just tell me so. I like to sing with the radio. I like to play it real loud.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with this edition of The Game Changer. Of course, you can check us out on Spreaker.com as well as iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. I'm Nate the Effing Great. She is VictoriBelle. Time to talk about some more stuff that happened in pop culture news. This one I thought was kind of a fun story to talk about. The fact that, well, you Canadians apparently are going to have more cool stuff here, and that is in the Niagara Falls area, they're actually going to have a real-life Mario Kart-style racetrack opening up probably this season, depending, of course, on the weather. But from what they've been telling me is that they've been doing a lot of the classic courses that are going around, which I probably imagine a lot of people are probably going to rage once they reach Rainbow Road. I mean, yes, I know it's not going to be like a spot-for-spot deal. Like, that would just be a little bit insane. But if they're going to try and, like, recreate it so it's very lifelike, I do see a lot of people really enjoying that and kind of having that nostalgic feel of, being back when, when they had the Mario Kart. I think it's going to be the Mario Kart 64 style. I mean, honestly, that's
probably the simplisticest way to do it.
It really is. It's the simplest way to do it. It's probably the most fun. Jeez Louise. I mean, so many of these great, karts and stuff like that came out on Mario Kart 64. Racetracks, I mean, not karts. Sorry. It's just one of those things that I look at and I think to myself, wow, this could be absolutely amazing. They've talked about even some of these racetracks even being about 4 stories high. So this will probably be not only, exciting, but also pretty frightening for some people, especially that are afraid of heights. But it's one of those things for, if you're a Mario fan, you'll definitely enjoy it. Honestly, it looks like it's going to be something that's going to be absolutely a lot of fun. So let me ask you this, VictoriBelle. Did you ever play Mario Kart 64? And if so, what was probably your favorite track?
Of course I played Mario Kart. I still play Mario Kart.
Yay! Shout out to Mario Kart fans.
I am a Nintendo. I grew up Nintendo, not PS2. So I'm all about that Mario Kart life. I'm not the best, but I do try really hard. I like to try drunk driving with people. I'm also not the best at chugging beer, so I'm not good at that either. But yeah, my favorite for 64, like Nintendo 64 version.
You know what? Since you said that you played a lot of Mario Karts, like any in general, any console, any different kind of Mario Kart that they've had, because I know they had Mario Karts 8 was the recent one. No, it's
yeah, I don't know. There's so many. I guess you have to love Rainbow Road. I always kind of enjoy the cruise ship ones too, because like there's a lot of secret passageways that people who suck can sometimes take advantage of. But yeah, Rainbow Road is always, it has to be the favorite. Everybody loves Rainbow Road. I just fall off the course all the time. So. I'm driving too fast.
I remember, and this is kind of a good little cheap plug for BlinkCon when it comes out this year. I went there a few years ago, and I played a couple of the classic games, and one of them was, of course, Mario 64. So I played a couple of the racetracks, and it's like, okay, this is really cool. I really liked it. Oh, man, getting so much nostalgia here. I think, gosh, I'm trying to think of like what was like one of my favorite racetracks on there. I think that Yoshi Valley was a pretty good one too, just because of the fact that there's twists and turns. It's not like a regular racetrack. It's just one of those things where it just seemed absolutely fun. One course that I absolutely hated and would maybe kind of rage quit with the with this experience was I think it was Toadstool Highway, where literally you're just driving around not only with the other kart guys, but you're also driving around with the buses and the cars and stuff like that. After I think it was like the 4th or 5th time I hit a vehicle, I just was like, nope, I'm done.
Bowser's Castle is always usually fun too, because it'll have like the thwomps and stuff and the lava, and you're like, oh jeez guys, I'm not gonna make it.
Fire!
Right?
Oh my gosh, just so much fun stuff when it came to Mario Kart. I think that so far Mario Kart is the one Mario game that some people... No, that's a lie. I was going to say the one Mario game where people don't either rage quit or get too competitive. I'm thinking, no, that's every single Mario game.
That's true. Every single Mario. I mean, Mario Party breaks hearts,
Mario Party is the monopoly of the video game realm. It basically goes sometimes too long, and it breaks friendships and ruins families.
Yeah, and the new one is just about chance. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm like, okay, not even a skill-based game anymore. They just get a star. Okay, whatever. That's how I quit usually. I'm like, okay, he just gave you 3 stars. You're winning now. They're like, sorry.
Sorry. No, if we were playing sorry, then we'd been having fun. But we're playing Mario Party. You don't have a right to say sorry right now. So what story do you have that can get us off of this very heated, very... What's the phrase I'm looking for? Destructive genre that is Mario.
Yeah. I saw, I think just yesterday was the first time I saw it. I don't know exactly when it dropped. But Sonic the Hedgehog is getting a live action. There's some pretty big names going to be involved in this. Jim Carrey is one of them, being Dr. Eggman.
That's right. I remember that.
Which... people are kind of freaking out about how Sonic looks. I think that's the main thing. They're like, he's a creep. Like, why is he so creepy? But, because they kind of made him more of like a kid body versus like the little hedgehog that he was. Like, they kind of gave him very humanoid looks and then just the crazy hedgehog face and hair. And his voice is going to be Ben Schwartz, which I love him. If people ever watch Parks and Rec, he's John Ralphio. He's the really annoying character, but, like, what a great voice for this. He also does some voice acting for the Horseman. I forget what the horse show on Netflix with the guy who's, like, Will Arnett is the horse, and he's, like, in that as a bunny rabbit lawyer. So he has a great voice. I think his voice is perfect for Sonic. Because he's kind of nasally and up here. So, like, it's going to be great for Sonic, I think. But, yeah, we have Jim Carrey, James Marsden, who we know is, he used to play Cyclops in X-Men, and he was in Enchanted, all that jazz. So we got some good people in this, but we're just not sure really where they're going to go. Like, apparently the only thing is, like, a cop in a rural town of Green Hills will help Sonic escape from the government who is looking to capture him. That is the synopsis. One sentence.
Interesting.
Yeah.
While you were talking, I was getting a chance to look at the like some of the images for the live action Sonic, and literally I'm just like, oh God, no.
It kind of looks a little weird, but I think they're going with more of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle type of feel. You know, like he's a mutated hedgehog who, you know, I mean, Sonic is kind of like a person, you know? Like, that's, if you ever watched all the Sonic, like, I loved Sonic the Hedgehog, too. He definitely is part of, I know he's Sega, but Sega was bought by Nintendo a while ago, right. So I consider him Nintendo, and I'm happy to see him get a live action. I loved Sonic's, like, all, like, the GameCube games, and running through the town, collecting the rings, and I just hope there's more characters. Like, I want to see, like, Sonic's little buddies, like Tails and everyone, but they don't have anyone listed for these things. They only have Sonic, so we might be getting another new trilogy coming up where we're going to see more of these little animals that bring Sonic the Hedgehog to life, and I'm excited too. Jim Carrey being Dr. Eggman, like, that's gonna be, to me that sounds amazing. Oh, Robotnik. I thought his name was Eggman.
His name is Eggman, but I think that they usually just call him Robotnik just.
Oh, like that's his official name, but Sonic calls him Eggman?
Yeah, I think it's something
okay.
like that.
Okay. Because it does say, like, Sonic is a delinquent. And I'm like, I don't think he's really a delinquent. I think he just does what he wants. But I'm excited for this. I think it sounds...
It's going to be a very interesting... Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting movie to see what happens. Honestly, guys, I'll throw this out there. Nintendo, if you ever need somebody to play Shadow the Hedgehog, I'm real willing to throw my name in there. I mean, it's like a very off chance of that'll happen, but I'm willing to give it a chance. I definitely would not. I don't know. Shadow is just one of those characters that just always seems cool, and even with it being a live action deal, I think somehow he definitely would have this, you know, kind of darker, more edgier style to him. But that's just maybe me. I always thought Shadow was always badass. That's just my opinion.
Dude, Shadow is badass. Like, that's why I want them to, like, I was hoping that there's more. Like, you know, I want Tails, I want Amy, like, I want Knuckles, I want all of his little friends. And then I want Shadow's crew, too. I want Shadow to come out. But if we're really getting, like, if this is what they're doing, like, we don't know much about it. It's just announced. They just, like, showed some images, and people are, like, freaking out, like, ew, that's not the Sonic. And I'm like, calm down. But, like, if they're doing the story correctly, most likely Sonic will break out of this government lab, and hopefully we'll go back in the government lab and find quite a bit of other animals. And then in this first movie, I don't think Shadow should pop up, but Shadow should definitely pop up at the end, being like Dr. Eggman's new, you know, like he's like, oh, ha ha ha, I created this out of my chaos crystals, ha ha ha.
Right. Yeah.
And then chaos control.
And don't have him say anything, because then I want to play Shadow the Hedgehog in the next Sonic movie.
Right, yeah, just don't have him say anything.
I think that would just make bring out the mystique a bit. Just don't. I would even say this. Don't even have him say anything for like the first half of the second movie. Just have him.
Well, yeah, he doesn't really talk that much until
he needs to.
Yeah, because he's kind of like just a robot, right? Like he's a robot hedgehog.
Maybe, unless you're thinking of Metal Sonic.
I could be thinking Sonic, but I know who Shadow is.
Yeah, yes, I do know who Shadow is.
Okay.
As long as I know who some of the characters are, which I do, thankfully.
But I do remember that there was a Metal Sonic, so basically Godzilla hedgehog style.
Hells yeah.
But yeah.
Which I will say this, just kind of like a off story here is that there is a fan who, before he passes on, he wants to actually see the new Godzilla movie that comes out. And I know they did that for one of the fans when their last request was to see the new Star Wars movie or something like that. I think that was what it was. So Hollywood, have a heart again. Give this person the magnificence of Godzilla. That would be amazing. But I do have one more story here, and this is kind of one that's, is probably going to touch the heartstrings just a little bit, because, well, it's also going to involve the, quote-unquote, my spirit animal, as well as probably a lot of other people's, that being Lady Gaga. So this was something that came up recently, that when Lady Gaga went to a university, when she went off to college, one thing that happened during that time was she was definitely very much mistreated. She was bullied, and there was even some people that created a Facebook group, and I'm not even joking about this. I cannot believe that this is actually a thing, that says Stefani Germanata, Nota, which is her real name, and it says her name, and it says, "You will never be famous." 12 people are members of this, which honestly was one of those things that really makes me very sad to see. It's like 12 people really took the time to actually basically say that Lady Gaga wasn't going to be famous. Wow. Let me see here. In the last year, she's won an Oscar, a Grammy, a BAFTA, Golden Globe. Yeah, she's doing horribly. Great job with that Facebook deal, guys. Great job. But this also has gotten a lot of responses from people that that really wanted to show their support for Lady Gaga. One was from at Mestra Honey, who says, "The 12 members has me in tears. Y'all couldn't even hate effectively." I thought that was kind of funny. Grayson Murphy said, "Imagine being the people who told Lady Gaga she would never be famous. LMFAO. That's so embarrassing." Next one is from Luke Kautinhu 17. Says, "Lady Gaga is an inspiration to all the haters, bullies, body shamers who try to bring people down because of their own fears and insecurities. She was called ugly and teased that she'll never be famous. Look at her now. Respect. Rise above the hate and envy and shine." Another one from Jono Chapman 82, probably trying to push and shove to the front of the line. Sign this, please. We went to university together. You're awesome. And the last one was from KRS10_, which I think this is kind of the winner here, is that she should have invited all 12 of them to the Oscars. So
no, that's giving them too much. If I got invited to the Oscars for bullying someone, like I might bully someone then. Like,
I see your point.
Take me to the Oscars.
yeah, I see your point. But yeah, this was kind of one of those things where I've gone through something like this. Obviously, never had Facebook created against me, which again, I'm shocked this was even a thing. But it does show you and show everybody how far Lady Gaga has come since then. How she's definitely been one of those people who when I first saw her, she was just the woman that hatched out of an egg, and I was just like, yeah, it just no. And then when we got into A Star Is Born, it was like, wait, that Lady Gaga? Okay, this ought to be interesting to say the least. Then afterwards, it's like, wow, I am kind of ashamed that I based my judgment on just that one appearance from Lady Gaga and not really appreciate, the genuine and, creativeness that she has. So I'd like to, say right off the bat, if Lady Gaga were to ever listen to this, I do apologize for basing it off that one action. And I'm definitely, right now that I do appreciate all the work and hard effort that you've done to get to the spot that you're in right now. I mean, like I said there, she's won so many awards in just 1 year. The only thing really missing is a Tony. And we could go through like a different podcast of like some, performances or productions that she could be a part of and win that Tony, which honestly, I think if she were to win the Tony, it's like you've basically won every single award that there is possible. I think it's time to just hang up your hat, call it a career. There's nothing else more to do. It's like, what else is there? She's won everything. She's literally going to be the one person that's going to have like every single award in like her trophy case at her house. And it's just going to be like, man, is there like anything else you could do? Well, maybe go overseas and do it. It's like, well, now you're just starting something crazy.
Yeah, no, that's, I like the story. I think it's a good story that just says, hey, rise above the haters, man. Like, don't let them bring you down. And Lady Gaga talks about her bullying a lot. Like, she's, in her, like, 2 movies I think she's made for, like, about just Lady Gaga, in general. Like, that's why she's such a person for, LGBTQ and all that, is, like, she's like, hey, I want to represent people who, get bullied and have to rise above it and just prove them wrong. And I think she's a stronger person because of it, and she just always, kind of promotes that, like, anti-bullying type of atmosphere, and I think that's great.
Yeah, like I said, it's a really good story. It's one of those things that really does show, that, like she said, you work hard enough, you build up to it, you're going to accomplish so much. And she accomplished a major thing. Like we said, the Oscars, she did it. It was one of those things where we were hoping, it's like, just please give her this deal. Yes, she gets one award. We're so happy. So for this one, for those that want to look at this one, this actually comes from the hooksite.com, for those that are kind of curious as to where that article is. But all right, so let's move on to the final article or final piece of news that we would have, and that comes from VictoriBelle. What do you got us to wrap us up with?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people took note to the premiere that happened, was it 2 nights ago now? I think it was 2 nights ago now. Obviously, we're talking about Captain Marvel.
Dun-dun-dun.
The amazing premiere. They had the Blue Angels fly over. It was really cool. Like, the Air Force got involved. A ton of people got involved. But one person in particular that got involved, people were kind of... the article says fans were Hulk smashing this, as they did not enjoy it. We had a tweet from the great and amazing Stan Lee, which is kind of crazy because we all know he's dead. Mm-hmm. And so they tweeted on his Twitter account, Captain Marvel landed in Hollywood this past Monday for the movie's premiere. Read more about the evening below and at therealstanley.com, his website, which we all know he probably did not control the website, but yes, so they had a whole article about Captain Marvel, but promoting this on a dead man's Twitter is what made people kind of start freaking out. Like, we have people being like, I hope when I'm dead, my corporations don't pull a Weekend at Bernie's with my corpse and, like, try to promote their products. Like, we've got a lot of people, like, just literally being like, are you kidding me? Like, what's going on? The dead must stay dead. Like, tons of gifs, tons of negativity about them using the real Stan Lee's Twitter account to promote this movie. And I don't know, it's kind of, it's a weird thing, but you also are like, I think he would promote the movie. But yeah, it's, we don't know. Maybe they have to, like, change maybe they should say, like, so-and-so, I'm so-and-so tweeting for on Stanley's Twitter account in, like, memory of him. Like, hey, check out the new article that's up on his website. Because his website is not going down. TheRealStanLey.com is a website that promotes things he did, and he did create Captain Marvel, and it should be up on his website. Why would you want his whole website to die because he died? That would suck. That's like his legacy should not die. But I think the problem for most people right now is the fact that they tweeted as if he tweeted.
Yeah, no, I see that. So basically a few things that, come to mind with this is that, you've hit a lot of them on the head, is that, it's Captain Marvel. It is a Marvel-based movie, and Stan Lee would indeed want, this to be promoted. This is his livelihood. This is his baby. You wouldn't want him to, you wouldn't want to be one of those situations where, where he dies and basically everybody just says, oh, we're not doing any more Marvel movies, because that would just be unfair. And Stan would not want that. He would want everybody out there to enjoy his works and to enjoy everything that, he created, because he didn't do it, for the fame. He didn't do it just for, the notoriety. He did it because he knew it would give people inspiration. He knew that it would give people something to look forward to. And that is just the powerful ability that Stan Lee had on people. So for those people that, definitely, just, Hulk smashed this person who's posted on his Twitter, I get it. I understand where you're coming from. But at the same time, it's one of those things where you don't have to take it so personally, because you're right. Maybe if somebody would have mentioned the fact that, hey, this, account is going to, maybe it would be in the description where it just says, this account will, be here to carry on the legacy of Stan Lee or something like that. Or, like, as you said, if they would have maybe just, mentioned that, hey, I am so-and-so, talking on behalf of, the Lee family or something like that. If they would have said that, maybe it would have been less effective. But I think it's also just one of those things where I think people were just a little too, quick to rush on this deal, where they just, assumed that, oh, they're doing it off of his, official website. That's disrespectful. That's blah, 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 blah. Where, in reality, Stan Lee probably would have allowed it. If he couldn't, write anymore, he probably would just say, like, could somebody write for me? Could somebody just do this for me? He would have asked for that. Because, like I said, Stan Lee would have wanted his legacy to carry on. He would have wanted more people to be inspired. That's literally what Stan Lee was. He was an inspiring person that always wanted to make everybody feel good. He's kind of like, I would almost compare him as like, what Robin Williams is to comedy is what Stan Lee is to, superheroes. He's funny, he's entertaining, but he also finds a way to make people feel good. And, whether it's, take them to like this mystical land of Wakanda, or even to like the streets of New York, to Brooklyn. Everywhere he goes, there's always something exciting, something wonderful to look forward to. And that's what those Marvel movies were. So, it's one of those things, again, where, maybe they could have handled this differently, but I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to bash them. I'm going to say, they want to promote Captain Marvel? That's great. Captain Marvel was one of his works. Maybe they could have handled it differently, but at the same time, I don't know if I would change anything.
I just don't think, I think they have to just be aware. I think this is something that people learn quite quickly when you have such a pull as the Twitter account of Stan Lee does. You just have to be careful what you post and what you're promoting, and you need to know that you are promoting and that you are held accountable for that by the fans and by actually the law. If anyone ever watched the documentary, The Fire Festival, you will know what I'm talking about. As somebody who wants to be a part of this business, I definitely watched The Fire Festival. It just shows that people who post stuff that is a promotion for anything, you have to realize you're liable for that. Obviously, this is a movie that came out and it's real. It's not a fake festival. But in general, I think you just have to know that a person with as many followers as Stan Lee needs to have responsibility. He had responsibility for it. Now that he's dead, whoever is taking over that, people don't know. So you have to kind of state that you're taking over it and state that, hey, I'm so-and-so taking over for Stan Lee on his Twitter account because you all follow it and you all want to know things that he was involved with. And we do. Like, if a new a superhero movie comes out and Stan Lee was a part of it, made that superhero come to life, of course I want to know about it. And if I follow him on Twitter, I expect him to tweet about it. But even if he's dead, like, I would want to see that, oh, he's involved in this. But I also would want to know who the hell is tweeting for him. And I think that fans have the right to know who's talking. And if you're taking over someone who's passed, like, this is a big deal. I've talked about this, and I've actually discussed this on the news when I was part of NBC about Twitter and Facebook accounts and who can take over them and the laws around that. It's just very black and white, and it's going to start becoming a bigger and bigger deal when more of these celebrities with millions of viewers and millions of followers die. Like, who gets all those followers? Like, that is a platform, man. Like, Stan Lee has a platform of people that will click on his links and follow it and buy stuff if he says so. And so, if you take over it, you need to tell us who you are. Like, hey, I'm so-and-so Lee, his son. I don't know. Just say something. Like, tell us who it is. Like, I'm his agent, and I've taken over this. He willed it to me. People are going to have to start willing their accounts to people. Like, it's intense. But yeah, to get off my little soapbox of influence and promotion on social media, it's a big deal. And, like, people have gotten sued, and people can get sued for millions of dollars if you mess with the influencers. So if you're an influencer on social media, which Stanley is, and he tweets something that he should not tweet, and especially if he's dead, and we get a crazy, I don't know, like, racist tweet, like, we're going to be like, what is going on? Like, it's just a big deal. Like, I think the only problem is that the person who tweeted like he was Stan Lee, and he should not do that. That's identity theft. That's just wrong.
No, I definitely do agree with that. Can't really, say anything better than that. All right, so let's go into our final discussion, which is indeed about Captain Marvel. We definitely talked about a lot of the, a lot of the hoopla and a lot of the stuff that's been going on for that. You see a lot of those vignettes, I believe it is, about basically Brie Larson and her way she works out and she prepared for this role. Where she went, I think, starting off, she did like 1 hour of training like every day for a while, and then as soon as as soon as it got, I think, closer and closer, or while she was doing the movie, she did, I think she bumped that up to like 2 hours. Then she did a lot more training exercises, stuff like that. I truly believe that she probably did her own stunts, which is awesome. But yeah, this is literally one of those things where I'm like, okay, so Brie Larson is one of those people that is taking this role very seriously. Definitely 100% respect that, and I love that. But this is going to be very interesting because this is probably the third, biggest woman that we probably will have in the superhero universe, because, in my opinion, it started off with Black Widow. She kind of set the bar for it. Then there was Wonder Woman, who basically just knocked it out of the park and also caught it. How that's possible, I have no idea. But now we have Captain Marvel. Is she going to stay in the same bar level as, Black Widow? Is she going to maybe even go half as good as Wonder Woman? Is she even going to be matchable to Wonder Woman? That are going to be a lot of questions that will be asked and probably considered while watching this movie. So I guess the question here is, what can we expect from Captain Marvel, and how is this going to tie in to Endgame, which premieres in, is it about Actually, no, it's about a month. Holy crap, now that I think about it. It's about like a month and a half away. So your thoughts first, Tori.
On what it'll produce, box office wise?
No, basically, what can we expect from Captain Marvel, and how is she going to come into play when it comes to Endgame, which comes in?
Okay. I already feel like I've said this a few times. She's going to save Tony Stark from his spaceship. Spoilers. This is what I think, but I don't obviously know. But she's going to be out in space already, so she's not disappeared. Then she's going to save Tony Stark because he's dying. We already heard. He's like, I got 1 day of oxygen left. I'm going to die. No, she'll save him. And then she'll probably be the key thing that is going to destroy Thanos. Like, they're going to have her really take the reins, I would think. Because she is probably the most powerful character they have there. Because, Scarlet Witch is dead as of now, and a lot of people are dead. So, yeah, she's definitely the most powerful superhero still left. So I'm guessing she's going to be a huge role. And Thor's still there too, and Thor's pretty powerful. But I don't know. That's a good tie-up. I don't know if Thor or Captain Marvel would be more powerful. Just because I need to kind of see more of the. I want to see the movie before I see how cool they actually make her. Because the first Thor movie. If I told you that Thor would be as powerful as he was in the first movie, and then you see him in the third movie, and you're like, oh, that's the Thunder God that I thought they would actually have had. Like, he was like a weakling in the first movie. Like, who cares about him? And now I'm like, yes, thank you, Ragnarok, thank you. So it's going to be fun. I think she'll save Tony Stark. And that's how he's going to be back on Earth, and then they're going to kick some ass.
There we go. So, as far as my expectations for Captain Marvel for this movie here, I do believe that they are going to give us, of course, the backstory of Captain Marvel, but I think we're also going to get a little more backstory with Nick Fury. I think that's one of those things I think a lot of people are going to be very interested in seeing, how much of Nick Fury's story is going to be tied in to this movie. Obviously, there's going to be enough because there's a relationship and because of the fact that there's a pager involved. Are we going to see, what kind of battles did he go through? Are we going to see, how he ended up with the eye patch? What exactly, could we see with him? Also, I think a question for me is going to be, is she going to get her memory back? Is she going to, still be on this, journey to find out who she was back on Earth? Is she going to have all her memories back, or is it still going to be one of those situations where she's going to, it's going to be like a series of movies where she'll, pick up piece by piece, and then in maybe the final climax of a movie, she figures out who she is. Who knows? As far as early predictions there, I would love to say that, I agree with you on the, her saving Tony Stark. I think somebody else is going to save Tony Stark. I think it might be just maybe like a shipload of bandits. Maybe it's going to be maybe it's going to be Krog from Thor Ragnarok, who just appears out of nowhere and just says, hey, we'll come to rescue you. Want to come? He just pops out of nowhere.
The rock guy comes.
Yeah. I think that I do agree. It is going to be one of those things that it does seem self-explanatory. I think that Captain Marvel is indeed going to be one of those people that does have a key role in finding out how to get rid of and defeat Thanos. And maybe she's even able to, harness the power of the Infinity Stones. Maybe she's that powerful. Who knows at this point? I mean, we do know that there's going to be a couple tie-ins from Thanos' army is going to be involved with this movie. So that there's going to be a lot of people that have probably complained in the past, whenever they bring in a small secondary villain, they usually die off. I don't see that happening in this one, because I think that what was his name? He was the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it was Ronan the Destroyer or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, from the first one.
Yeah, from the first Guardians, yeah. I think that somebody said that he's going to be a part of that, so don't expect him to be killed off, because he'll be killed off in Guardians of the Galaxy, probably. There's been a lot of scenarios as to what's going to be like the end credit scene for Captain Marvel. One that I really would like to see is the fact that, she gets that page, and it's from Fury. She just looks at it. Maybe she doesn't even say anything. She just looks at it and then just flies up into the space or something like that. I don't know. But like I said, there's a lot of theories. There's a lot of crazy stuff that's going to go on with this movie. It's probably going to tie in some things to a lot of these movies, but who knows at this point. It's going to be very interesting. It is definitely one of those movies that Marvel is finally taking a chance on making a solo movie featuring a woman, which DC already beat them to the punch and did really well at. So it's going to be one of those things where it's like, well, Marvel, ball's in your court. Let's see how you do it. So we'll find that out, and we'll be talking about it next week, you guys. So definitely tune in to that. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of The Game Changer. Like I've said before, I'll say it again. Subscribe to us here on Spreaker as well as on YouTube. Give us a like on the Facebook fan page as well as follow me on Twitter. And also, you guys, before we head out, here's a goal that I got for you guys that we have just reached. My lovely co-host VictoriBelle is almost at 2,500 likes on her Facebook fan page. So I have made it my goal once again to bring it up to, let's say, double that. Let's see if we can get it up to maybe 5 Gs by next year. I think it's something that could be very possible. I think that it could very much happen. So go to her Facebook fan page, give her a like, and be sure to leave her some nice comments, nice clean comments, guys. Thank you very much. Or girls. I know it's 2019. I'm not going to stereotype anybody. But yeah, give her some like and share it. Share it like crazy so that way we can get her to that 5 Gs. That would be absolutely amazing. And I know she would do something crazy for that. What it will be, I don't know. It's got to be a VictoriBelle original. I'm staying out of this. So,
I guess I'll have to think of that. And if I get to 5 Gs, I would love to be at 5 Gs by next year. That would be crazy. I haven't really been pushing anything, as you know, so it's like, ooh, I got to get on it again. But that would be really fun. It would be great.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you just got to break a couple more swords every now and then. So
that's what I do. Break and bend metal.
For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, go find the video on her Facebook fan page. It's hilarious. It's something that I still give her a hard time about, and one of these days she's going to get me back. I'm just waiting for that day when I rue the day that I keep bringing it up. But for VictoriBelle, I've been Nate the Effing Great. Thank you for joining us here. Happy Captain Marvel Day, and we will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.